Welcome St Andrews Lutheran College community. It's 2 days until ANZAC Day, and we'd like to bring a message from our community to the broader community at this time. Perhaps like me, you are a really proud Australian. This flag has been in my family for a really long time, and it has a great history. But moreover than that, it has a really significant history, of course, to us as a nation. At this time, we'd like to bring you a little bit of a message of that, myself and the college captains, about the significance of ANZAC Day, and perhaps in these particularly troubling times. Let's go inside and keep the story going. The pages of history are dominated by the high and mighty whose deeds have altered the fate of nations. The great thing about ANZAC is that it is the deeds of ordinary men and women that are the focus of the story. They're the people we know, even if we've never met them. The great-grandparents, grandparents, fathers, mothers, uncles, aunts, brothers. They're the diggers, the sailors, the aircrew and the nurses of the ANZAC tradition. This Saturday, I will hold close this photo of my grandfather, Jack, who along with other men and women was responsible for resupplying our troops with food, ammunition and medical supplies in the Pacific Corridor in World War II. Much of his work involved troops on the Kokoda Trail, a story that St Andrews honours with due reverence every year. Like me, many of you viewing this message today have direct links with this ANZAC story. Whether that's the case or not, all of our stories belong to a proud history that began at dawn on the 25th of April 1915, when the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps, ANZAC, landed at a beach on the Gallipoli Peninsula in Turkey. It was part of a combined British and French force whose grand strategy was to knock Turkey out of World War I. They failed. After 8 brutal months, they were still pinned on or near Gallipoli's beaches. Ironically, the most successful part of the Allied campaign was the withdrawal. All troops evacuated, only 2 wounded. Most countries draw on glorious victories for their national stories, for their nation building. We have Gallipoli, the site of a heavy defeat. Make no mistake about it, it was a catastrophic loss, an abject disaster. So what is it about Gallipoli that has so inspired us, that has made that one day of the year, ANZAC Day, our most important national day? What was it about those original ANZACs that they took to the battlefields of France, that the next generation emulated in World War II, and then following generations in Korea, Vietnam, Malaya, and UN peacekeeping missions, in the Gulf War, and more recently in East Timor, Afghanistan and Iraq? Surely it's an attitude, a stoic, no-fuss, uncomplaining determination to complete the job, no matter how difficult the circumstances, even for a lost cause. You have your mates with you, and there's no way you'll let them down. War is truly a terrible thing. Everything about it is horrible. But like Jesus teaches us, when we can see those who wrong us as no better or worse than ourselves, love can take over from fear. These are the qualities of those first ANZACs that so directly bind us to them despite the distance of time. So, ANZAC is about the present and future as well as the past. It's about us as well as them. It's up to us to protect their legacy, to model their qualities and to honour their sacrifices. It's our duty. To ignore this, or even worse, to forget it, not only is disrespectful to our forebears, but also risks repeating the mistakes of the past. So this Saturday, pause to reflect that it is not by accident that we live in a nation of freedom, prosperity and opportunity. This bounty has been fought and paid for by ordinary people who altered the fate of nations, people whom we know even if we've never met them. These people, like my grandfather, came from tens of thousands of homes of ordinary Australians, yet they were extraordinary. They were nearly all unknown to us, yet they are all, each of them, truly remarkable. Now let's join the college captains as they reflect on some of those qualities which are synonymous with the Anzac spirit, which has in such a large way formed our national identity. I've no doubt that they'll tell the story much better than I would. And hopefully, even if virtually, I'll see you on your driveway this Saturday.
This Anzac Day, I would like to encourage you to reflect upon the core Aussie value of mateship. In essence, it means having our mates back. To the Anzacs, it meant having their countries back. And today, in this uncertain time, the best way to honour them is to do both.
Lots of us have family traditions on Anzac Day. My family usually walks to our local dawn service, picking up my grandparents on the way. This year, I'll be standing outside my driveway at 6 a.m. for a minute of silence. I encourage you to do this with your family instead of the usual service.
On Anzac Day, we honour those that have served for our country. We specifically acknowledge those that have made the ultimate sacrifice and have given their lives in their service to ensure that we maintain our lifestyle and are able to live free without fear of persecution.
One aspect of Anzac Day that is really important for me is endurance. I find it incredible how the Anzacs just kept on fighting even though it was a losing game. And in times like these, I think that this spirit is so important so that, just like the Anzacs, we stay strong regardless of how hard things get.